Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce the next fireside chat. So, for the next 20 minutes, we're going to hear a chat between David Rosenberg, Indiana Secretary of Commerce, and Mike Ward for the third time, your hat trick, Mike. Welcome him back to the stage to talk about will the new political landscape be good for life sciences? So, it'll be good to hear David and Mike hopefully leave us with a clearer picture of what we can expect over the next coming months and years. So over to you. Thank you.
Great. Well, yeah, thanks very much, David. So you're over here at the moment for how long?
So we are actually leaving this session and going to Italy for a series of meetings, but we got in Monday morning, do these trips once or twice a quarter, get out, meet Indiana businesses operating internationally, and also talk to those companies that are looking to make investments in the United States to convince them why Indiana is the place for their long-term success in the United States.
Right. And is it exclusively life sciences or?
No, so we are the commerce function for the state of Indiana. So our job is to attract companies, jobs, businesses, talent to the state of Indiana, develop the quality of life ecosystem that talent wants to need in every aspect of their life, from graduating college to when they're looking at retirement, make sure they have the quality of place, the amenities they need. So that's our function as the Commerce Department, competing against the other 49 states to attract businesses and talent into Indiana.
Right. Okay. Now, for those of you who are paying attention to Ellen's presentation, right at the end, she had a little map, and on that map was sort of part of America, and actually Indiana was on that map. But just to sort of put Indiana in a place, could you sort of give us a sort of a snapshot of what the Indiana life sciences ecosystem looks like today?
Yeah, first I have never rode 77 days in my life, so kudos to you. I got tired just hearing that story. No, so Indiana is a Midwest state, about 6.8 million people, bordered on the north by Michigan, south of Kentucky, west of Ohio, east of Illinois. But what we've really been doing the last 4 years has been punching out of our class. Our economy has never been stronger. We've had record-breaking years the past 4 years. A lot of that is driven because we've moved from a transactional organization to a strategic one, meaning that we wanted to go get the economy we wanted for our future, not just sit back and see who called us or sent us an RFP, said they want to come to Indiana. We've been very intentional about the industries that we want to go get. We're talking semiconductors, EV battery, obviously life sciences being a huge one, defense, ag tech, the energy transition. So really focusing on these industries that we know will drive our economy for the next 50 years, not just the next 3 to 4. Life sciences has been a huge critical aspect of that in terms of our record-breaking growth. Just for a little context, in terms of capital investment coming into the state, in 2021, we had $8.7 billion of committed capital investment, which was a record year for Indiana. The very next year, we did over $20 billion. Last year, we did $28.7 billion, with 70% of that coming from foreign direct investment into the state. And this year, we've already topped over $39 billion. And so we went from $8.7 billion in 2021 to $39 billion this year. One of the main driving forces of that has been the pharmaceutical industry, and we have several clusters of excellence, but obviously capped by our anchor tenant of Eli Lilly, who's been operating over in the state for over 100 years. And in the past 3 years, Eli Lilly has invested about $14 billion worth of investment in new manufacturing facilities, but also research and development into the state of Indiana. We have a cluster of radiopharma companies, about 14 operating by our airport. And so we are on pace to become the radiopharma capital of the world. And then when you look about 2 hours north of Indianapolis, we are the orthopedics capital of the world, where Zimmer Biomet is headquartered and a lot of their other partners around that area. And so we are leaning heavily into life sciences because we have these incredible clusters. And then when you even look around downtown, the ecosystem that's developed, you have IU School of Medicine, which is the largest med school in the country. You have IU Health, which is one of the largest health systems. You have Elanco, which is the second largest animal health company. Corteva, one of the largest agriculture. Roche Diagnostics, and then obviously the largest and most profitable pharma company in the history of the world is Eli Lilly. So we have all the pieces there, from government to academia to industry leaders to entrepreneurship, that have really been developing throughout the state. So life sciences is a critical industry and a critical asset to our state.
So, okay, so could you, well, you described Lilly as like almost like your anchor tenant. So it would be interesting to sort of, how are you working alongside Lilly, and also what, as Secretary of Commerce, what are you doing to incentivize that inward investment in the life sciences space?
Yeah, I think we've been successful in this area for a few different reasons. One is, we could say, speed is the new incentive. With the pharma companies and how fast they got to develop drugs to meet demand, we have to be able to meet their speed. And so back earlier this year in February, we got a $5.3 billion RFP from Lilly, and we submitted our offer, secured the land, and signed the deal in less than 6 weeks. So that's the type of speed I'm talking about. A deal that would normally take a year and a half, 2 years, got done in 6 weeks because we were able to move at the speed that they needed to move. The second, and part of that, is that the state has been aggressive in going out and being developer on land, so that when a company comes in, they have a shovel-ready site to go. It's already been annexed and zoned, has utilities and a road network, but also has the cluster effect of where other companies and talent wants to be, and the innovation ideas that spur that. And then I think third is our university system and our talent network that we've been able to develop. You look at Indiana University, and I already mentioned the med school. Purdue University is the largest engineering school in the country and number 4 ranked, and they have one of the first radiopharma programs in the country. We have Notre Dame. Most people don't realize Notre Dame University is in Indiana. We actually have 2 teams in the college football playoff, Indiana University, Notre Dame, if anybody's tracking that. But we also have 30 different private universities and the largest singularly accredited community college in the entire country. And so we have not only those that are training the engineering and the white collar class, but also the technicians that go in and produce that facility. So that ecosystem of being able to move at the speed of business, having shovel-ready sites, and the workforce that can benefit those companies long term has been critical to our success, and why Lilly has made such substantial investments in the state over the last few years.
Right, but imagine that I'm a biotech executive here in Europe, and I'm sort of thinking, yeah, Indiana wants me. Ardeen Taylor. What have you got to offer me? I mean, what are those incentives for me to sort of up sticks and relocate to Indiana?
So as a baseline, Indiana is a low tax, low cost, low regulatory state. We add 0 additional regulations than what's required by the federal government. It's written into our legislation. So it's easy to do business, it's a low cost of doing business, and the talent is there from the universities. It's important to remember that incentives are a function of the taxes that a company pays. And so while our incentives are not always the highest compared to other states, we generally win a fair majority of those deals, because long term, when you look at that total cost of operating over 30, 40, 50 years, it's going to be much lower cost, much more profitable to operate in Indiana, instead of just looking at the dollar on day one, because you have all those other costs associated that you're going to pay for the next 3 to 5 decades. And so our low cost of doing business is absolutely the critical factor. But we have a variety of incentives, everything from tax credits for employees, like I said, land availability and be able to put land into deals. We have research and development credits for those that are tag along. But again, what I think we do better is bring the entire ecosystem to the table on day one when we're in a pitch with a company. So we have the universities at the table. We have the supply chain that company needs. We even have end users of that product to show that when you locate in Indiana, you have that entire ecosystem, from workforce to partnerships to even those that you may sell the product to, which gives that company the confidence to make the investment, knowing that they're going to be successful and profitable over many decades ahead.
So it's clear that you're taking a sort of a very, very proactive, sort of, almost like a political decision to push this forward. But politicians have a shelf life, sort of like 4 years or 8 years, depending on how they do in the elections. When you were in the foothills formulating this plan, what was the target, and how far out? I mean, what's a good result going to be looking like?
Yeah, this job is very personal to me. I have 3 kids that are 5 and under, and what I want is for them to have every opportunity at a job, a quality of place that they want with all the amenities. And so again, we're not looking 3 to 4 years down the line. We're looking 30, 40, 50 years down the line. And give our governor and our legislature a lot of credit. He had been in office for about 5 years when we came with this plan to move to this more strategic organization and really go after these industries. And I think Ellen said it well in her presentation. The first thing we had to start doing was saying no to deals that didn't fit within those industries that we wanted, saying no to deals that weren't paying, above state or national average wage. We made it clear to the market, these are the industries that we're going after. These are the wages that we're going after. You can still locate in Indiana, but we're not going to use taxpayer dollars to incentivize your deal if it's not within these strategic areas of focus that we're really leaning in on. And so I think what's been incredible is that shift happened and the market responded, I think, even faster than any of us could have predicted. Again, going from 8.7 billion in 21, which was a record, to over 39 this year. The market saw that from all over the world and start to make those investments. What's really exciting is that I think it's just the beginning. When you're still looking post-COVID with reshoring and modernization, when you're looking at a lot of the geopolitical tension, companies all over the world are looking for that U.S.-based production and supply chain to make that investment and have that secure base to do that. And that's what we do. We're a manufacturing state, a logistics state that can ship things all over the world. But it's not just one way. What we really push and what we really believe in is the two-way benefit of these type of relationships. And so not only companies coming into Indiana, but also how can we work with our companies locating all around the world. Eli Lilly just opened a gateway campus is opening a gateway campus in UK, which is going to be absolutely critical. Those are the things that we like to be involved with to facilitate, to make sure that two-way trade is going back and forth.
So how would you be involved in a decision like that?
Yeah, so a lot of it is, boots on the ground. So we make these trips quite often. Our governor over his 8 years has gone on over 30 international trips, developing those relationships, finding those opportunities. Sometimes businesses join us. Sometimes we have ecosystem partners with us today. We try to bring that ecosystem and tell the Indiana story. You don't have to raise your hand, but I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Indiana, have heard of the Indianapolis 500, but maybe not know where Indiana is located on a map. So part of our goal is education, to open up those opportunities, create those relationships, and then take that back to our businesses with who we met, develop those relationships, and do that handoff so they can form that partnership themselves.
Right. So do you have any, you obviously told us some sort of impressive numbers, 8 billion up to 39 billion. But are there sort of any sort of other sort of hey, here's a good example of how that works, particularly with sort of, a foreign, non-Indiana company sort of doing work with companies in Indiana?
Yeah, so like I said, we've leaned heavily into semiconductors. And so SK Hynix is the 6th largest semiconductor company in the world, the 2nd largest packaging company for semiconductors. We made our first trip to South Korea in 2019, met SK Hynix there as they looked to make their Indiana launch. I don't think Indiana was at the top of their list as they were looking to other states. You have a lot of the big players who are in there. But what we were able to do was obviously have a very aggressive incentive package based on what they needed and showed them the total cost of ownership. But it was really that partnership, bringing Purdue University to the table. They're one of the first universities with a semiconductor degree program. So you had the workforce there. Bring in Ivy Tech to train the technicians that would be in the facilities producing and packaging the chips, bringing in their supply chain. And so we have one of the largest glass manufacturers. Obviously, semiconductors need a lot of glass, bringing them to the table. We have a small company on the east side of Indianapolis that has one of the biggest suppliers for the ASML, which is a huge semiconductor machine, right in their own backyard. So bringing that supply chain, showing them the ecosystem, bringing the workforce to the table has been huge. So SK Hynix located a $4.7 billion facility in proximity to Purdue University. IMEC, which is a Belgium semiconductor think tank and testing facility, located next to them. MediaTek, which is a Taiwanese semiconductor company as well, located in West Lafayette. So we're building these clusters around talent around each other to spur that innovation. we've also been successful with other South Korean companies. You look at Samsung SDI, they have 3 battery plants in the United States. All 3 are in Indiana, totaling about $9 billion. And what's incredible about them is when you get a big fish like that, they bring their entire supply chain with them. So there's another $2 billion plus of their direct supply chain that has to follow them and locate next to them. And so, again, those international relationships, educating people what Indiana is about, why it's a good investment for them, has really been paying off on a worldwide scale. Like I said, first visit to South Korea was 2019. Since then, we've had about $13 billion of investment from South Korea in those 5 years because we've worked hard to develop the relationships, show the value proposition to those companies.
And I guess the fact that now Lilly is like the number one in terms of market cap pharmaceutical company, that doesn't hurt.
Absolutely.
So we've got just a few minutes, and I guess the elephant in the room, okay, when it comes to the States is, you just had an election, and there's going to be a change in administration. I was just wondering what that change in administration, both in fact at the state level as well as at the federal level, how is that going to, or how is it impacting, or how do you think it will impact, Indiana and what you're actually attempting to do when you create a life sciences ecosystem?
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember is that the official transition at the federal level is over 6 weeks, 7 weeks away, which is an absolute lifetime. So anyone who is telling you they know what's going to happen, they don't. We've seen crazy things happen week after week, so it's hard to predict. But what I'll say from the subnational level, and we take that role as a subnational very seriously. In fact, we were the first subnational to sign an economic and academic MOU with the UK post-Brexit back in 2022 that we still work on with them today, and had meetings around that with DBT and others this week.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody had to like us.
So we were the first one to take a great deal of pride in that. But from our subnational role in the United States, we are very focused on how can industry be successful. It's not our job to take political stances on X, Y, or Z. What we are is a facilitator to ensure that industry has the relationships they need and are able to get the meetings they need, get the points across that they need, so that they can be successful long term. We've had great success with President Trump during his first time. We've had great success with President Biden during his term. We have an entire team that is solely focused on federal engagement. Again, not on the state's behalf, but on making sure industry has those points. You look at the CHIPS Act. We were able to help SK Hynix win a $450 million award from CPO. Samsung just got a large loan, I think almost $7 billion of loan from the government. And so again, our job is to put industry in position to be successful long term. Can't predict what's going to happen in life sciences or semiconductors or this or that, but we will be at the table ensuring that our customers, who are the industry players investing in Indiana, are able to get their points across and try to put them in the best position we can for long-term success.
I think that's a really good point to conclude this discussion. So thank you very much, David, for taking the time, and have a good trip to Italy.
I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you.